It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. Today, we welcome one of the greats of the NFL ranks. A native of the Great White North, he was drafted by Washington in the 6th round of the 1986 NFL Draft. After becoming the first Canadian-born quarterback to start in the NFL, a highlight of his 11 seasons came in 1992, when he helped Washington win Super Bowl 26, along with winning the game's MVP award.
Rypien off a fake, pressure from the backside, gets loose for the diving catch and a touchdown for Washington.
Rypien is back to throw it, going deep, touchdown Clark. From 30 yards away, it's Rypien.
And Mark Rypien joins this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN right now with your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. We bring you the biggest guests, great analysis, and the hottest sports stories in the nation's capital and beyond. And we bring it to you live. Welcome to this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream edition of Listen In with KNN, presented by Fox Sports Radio, 1340 AM and 96.9 FM. I'm your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Happy Thursday. I hope everyone's week is going well. We are going to get into football talk. I know a lot of you all are probably watching the NBA playoffs, but as you guys know, there's been a lot happening here in our nation's capital with our Washington football team. So I thought, who better to bring in than a man that knows this franchise very well? He is none other than Mark Rypien. He, of course, is a former Washington football team Super Bowl MVP quarterback. You guys remember that date, January 26, 1992, when he helped lead the team to defeat the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl 26 for Washington's third Super Bowl victory. So I'm so excited to speak with him. We're going to talk all of the greatness of the past. We're going to talk how the team can get hopefully another Super Bowl championship here to DC and so much more. So joining me live is none other than Mr. Mark Rypien. Mark, how are you today?
Oh, fantastic, Kelsey. Good evening to you. And what an amazing, a nice intro to me, but amazing prelude to your show.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much, Mark. We had to do you justice. We love you here in DC.
Well, thanks. It's it's been a great ride, when we were here. I mean, to just carry on the torch that Doug and Joe Theismann already won Lombardi Trophy. So there was a lot at stake, and it's just a great group of guys. Very fortunate to play with them.
Yes, again, so fortunate to play with them. And first, Mark, to kick off the show, I want to ask you first, how are you doing? How are you feeling with all that's been going on, of course, with COVID-19? How's everything on your end?
Crazy. This has been one of these years for the record books in many ways. I just doing all right. I guess that's about the best we can say, with the situation that's given to us. And it's not as free-flowing as we'd like to, as traveling and doing all the things that we enjoy. I'm still getting to play a lot of golf, which is always great.
Always awesome. And winning golf, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Trying to anyway.
Yes.
I'm actually out here right now in the Washington, D.C. area in Baltimore, visiting my daughter,
Nice.
who works for Heart of America Foundation. She's regional director here. We just got done doing a wonderful, wonderful thing this morning with Heart of America. Did a joint venture with the Washington football team. Just doesn't quite
I
flow
know, it's
off
hard to say, right? You have to think about it.
Yes, with Calvin Parson and
Yeah.
all the great guys and gals over there, their staff at the Washington football team charitable organization or charitable foundation down at FedEx Field today. We put together 1,000 backpacks and 1,000, snack boxes and things like that that we'll be distributing tomorrow morning at FedEx Field to 1,000 families and needy families, families that also are going through the same issues where their young kids and their young children aren't able to go to school. Right. And so we're going to try to bring some of the school to them, bring some earbuds, and bring some
all the fancy stuff.
Bring some notepads, some crayons, so they can be creative, some pencils, let's see what else, rulers.
That's so awesome. Getting them ready for school.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That is so awesome.
And bring school to them in some way, where if they do have access to some sort of mobile device, either the internet on a laptop or their phone, that they can reach out and be taught by their teachers in the best way possible and try to even the playing field, because a lot of these kids don't have the same supplies and resources that most have. And so it's pretty unique and pretty cool. I know Heart of America, there's a lot of great things in the inner city communities, helping make children at their schools feel more appreciative, more loved about their school by going in there and renovating their school. Because, it's like anything. It's like your house, or if you can renovate something, make it a little bit nicer. I mean,
it makes it better. You want to go there.
You want to go there.
Exactly. See, Mark, we're here. I think that's so awesome. And the fact that you're doing that, I mean, what does it mean to you to get to be able to come back here and do that for the children of this community? I mean, it's been a while, right, since you've been back.
It's been a while. I mean, I did some kabooms with Jane Rogers when she was the executive director of the Washington. Well, can you say it? When she was the executive director of the Washington Redskins Charitable Foundation, but now the Washington Football Team Charitable Foundation. We did a lot, and the one great thing that I think Dan Schneider and the organization does is bring the alumni back and get the alumni involved. And it reminds me a lot when we did play. We had such a close connection to the community and the charitable events that we did. It was just it's a good feeling you get in your heart, and to give back in any way that you can, and to play here and to see the fans and the people and reach out and help in different ways is just a great fit and a great honor to be a part of.
Yeah, well, again, we're so happy you're back and doing the good work that we need here in this community. And we might as well get into it, Mark. We're both having trouble saying it. We're still getting used to it. The Washington football team, so different than when you played. We're going through this name change, of course, or as Jason Wright has put it, a new identity for this team. When you first saw that the team was officially going to change the name, Mark, what was going through your head?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that they took the measures necessary, and to me, I'm not quite sure that was done. I mean, I'm very, I'm just one voice in many, but my personal opinion is that if it was done, listening to the Native American leaders and Native American community and understanding any or all the heartaches that they're going through, and if there is, then I think it's very justified to change the name and start a new beginning. But to me, it seems like there's a little bit more business involved than it was about getting the right people to in front of the right people to do it, and kind of almost to a point where I think Mr. Schneider was bullied into doing it, to be honest with you. But I think in this day and age, in this era, I think it's a great thing. I think it's an opportunity and a chance for this very storied organization to put its roots down head in a different path, and you can see that just in the hiring of Julie Donaldson, Jason Wright. They're moving in a direction that I think is good for sports in general. I think it's good for all of us to get back in. Name is did you get me?
We had lost you, but we got you back.
So I think it's pretty cool to see what's going on, and I look forward to being a part of it as a fan, as part of an alumni, as part of a great tradition, a great honor of the Washington football team.
Yeah, I was so curious about it because I know it's so different for you now. Because now you have to say you're a former Washington football team quarterback. I'm sure that's even just different to say. And of course, now here in DC, everyone's trying to pour in names. So we know Washington football team is temporary. Some of the name ideas that have come out, Mark, we have Washington Metros. I think there's a lot of people like, I don't think that's the right fit. We know we have the Metro
No.
system, but I just held to the Washington, held to the Metros. It doesn't fit. It doesn't flow off the tongue. Head to the Red Wolves seems to be one of the more popular ones. One of them are favorites. It seems like, Mark, a lot of the fans just want to keep HTTR because we know that's the famous hashtag of the team, but keeping that R is kind of hard. Any favorite names to you that would stick out to you that you think might fit this team's new identity?
I think something with the R at the end of it, I think would be could keep with that hashtag HTTR. Now the hashtag is I had a kind of a funny hashtag the other day. Hashtag WTF, WFT.
Yes.
Kind of what the heck, Washington football team, But
I just think get the letters right.
Exactly. Yeah, you mix them up a little bit there, and you got a lot of people looking out the side of their eyes, going, what's going on?
Yeah.
But I think there's ways they can do it. There's ways they can still keep the R if they do the Red Wolves with the feather of the tail of like a red wolf or whatever coming off the R, and kind of keep the same consistency as they've had. I'm sure that a lot of that will come into play, but right now, just the Washington football team. It's not the easiest to say, but it is who they are, and it's the identity they have right now. And you mentioned Jason said it right. Start a new identity and start realizing that this is a whole new era.
Exactly. A whole new era. It's kind of crazy to think that we know what you've done in your era, but we might as well talk the current era. We know they're out there. They're at training camp. They have pads on, Mark. Anything that you've liked so far coming from training camp from this Washington football team?
Well, I'd like to get there. I've talked to
we have to get you there.
Julie Donaldson about maybe getting there, but I understand what COVID does. And you got to be very careful about letting anyone into your bubble now, even whether it be your home, your business, or whatever, and just make sure we all stay safe and we mask up, and keep our social distance and still do the things we love to do. I think that's one of the things we can do in this country is open up wholeheartedly, and if we can, everyone understand that this country can open up in a way that keeps everyone safe and uses their masks, uses their social distancing, and follows the rules. I think we can do so. So I think it's great. The quarterback. What's going to happen in the quarterback position? Haskins is, I think, shown in just the things that I've seen of him working out. His strength, his ability to throw. I mean, he showed great promise last year in the games that he played, and I think they've got a real good receiving core. I think one of the things that Coach Rivera and Jack Del Rio, who I played college football against, both those guys at Cal and USC, is that they are definitely going to hone up that defensive side. And anytime you got Alabama football players playing defense for you, probably helps a lot. They kind of know what they're doing, but I know they'll be the leaders as all the guys that are coming back. So I think it's a great fit. I think football needs to happen this year. I don't know how it's going to be played if we're going to have fans. I mean, there's some owners saying, we're going to have fans, and some others say, I'm not so sure about that. But it's more importantly, it's about the players and keeping them in the bubble. My little nephew is with his second year of the Denver Broncos as a quarterback, so he's he's been working hard, and as all these guys have, and so I think it's pretty cool. And of course, the Alex Smith thing is just absolutely amazing.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah,
I'm not so sure, about being able to play just for his sake. And I know he's a competitor. There's none, anyone that dons the uniform and plays a sport at a high level, they want to come back, they want to play. But just for him, just to come back and go out in the practice field and throw the football around at practice is just absolutely amazing. So. But this team has got a very good upside. It's all about injuries, and also it comes down to what happens if a player does get COVID. For 14 days, you got to have some depth, and you got to look at your depth of your football team, and because one player here, one player there, and someone else has to fill that spot.
Right,
and if
makes
not,
a difference.
And if not in a way that's going to be a high level, then you could start out real strong and all of a sudden fizzle off because of certain things that are out of your control.
Yeah, I mean, just so many questions around it. Like you said, that COVID list, we're wondering if it can get to 0 like we've seen in the NBA. But of course, the NBA is just a whole different beast. They're playing in a bubble. We know we can't do that with football. So that's really the big question, because it does change your team's identity. We saw what happened with all the New England Patriot players that are not going to play this year. And look, you're looking at that Patriots team differently now, Mark. You're not as scared of the New England Patriots when you see all of those players that aren't going to be there now to support our guy, Cam Newton.
Exactly. But Bill Belichick will find a way to get anyone that puts
anyone
that dons a uniform, a New England Patriot uniform. It's been quite a few years without with Tom Brady now, so just to not have him in that thing. So we'll see how that happens, But he is amazing at what he does. The catalyst to get his team to play at a high level. Even though you look at their roster in and year out, you don't think on paper that they're the strongest team, but they always play it pretty high. And of course, Cam's there, and you never know. I mean, he starts, he can get that fountain of youth going again and play at the level that he did when he was, going to Pro Bowls and Super Bowls, and you never know. But you're right, the NBA. But I think that also talking to DeMaurice Smith, the NFLPA president,
right,
and saying that, hey, one good thing in the favor of the NFL and the NBA and Major League Baseball and all those organizations is their amazing ability to test and make sure that they keep these players quarantined in a bubble as much as possible. And the hockey's the same way, make sure that they keep everyone in a bubble. And all those professional sports have got lots of dollars behind testing and lots of money behind it because they understand the impact of it. The NCAA, even though it's a $1 billion industry itself, and players now starting to receive money. It's different though because they don't have because there's so many of them. The pool's been increased instead of diluted. When you come to these professional sports, it's been increased. It'll be much more difficult and has. But I also do think there is a way of doing it. Maybe it's somehow send your students home and have them. Be educated. I'm not sure how that's going to happen, but that way, if you did have football at your university, at least you're having your players in a bubble. And I think a lot of coaches understand anyway that a lot of these players, or even when they are playing, they're somewhat in a bubble, and they can go to class and do the things they have to and make sure that they're super strong as far as keeping their social distancing and such. And then they get to the practice field and do the things they need to there, and then get home and don't be going out and doing things that we all understand that with bars and restaurants and a lot of things. You got to be good. Yeah, you got to be good about that. But it's a huge business, and I think college football, in my opinion, personal opinion, not a lot of people are going to agree with it, but I don't care. It's my opinion.
You're entitled to it.
I think they need to play. I think that there's going to be a lot of schools that can't survive if they don't play. I know the Pac-12 followed the little brother to the big brother, Big Ten. Well, if they're not, we're not going to do it either. Come on, Larry Scott, show a little bit of a spine and say, we're going to look at this and we're going to have our doctors and we're going to have our people tell us why we're not going to play, not just listen to some other conference. And maybe they did that. Maybe I'm being a little bit too stern on Larry, but I'm a big Pac-12 guy too, and I want our kids out there playing. And I know the kids out there playing. What are they going to do if they're not playing? Where are they going to go? What's going to happen? There's a myriad of things that they could get into when they're not playing football. That's worse than maybe getting quarantined together and trying to do something for the good of the university, good for the good of themselves.
Right. No, those are all great points. And I think that's something I did want to touch with you on, because you actually had retweeted Herschel Walker, who said, please support Justin Fields. Many of these young men, they want to play. Don't destroy their dreams. Remove the politics. # we want to play. Do you think do you think just the safety of sports coming back has become just too politicized, Mark? Is that why we're not probably going to be playing with all of our conferences? Did I hit it on the mark?
Hello, you think? I mean, with an election year coming up, everyone's going to use that whole card as much as they possibly can. I just want to see literally the science behind it. Why can you have? I don't want to go into it. Why can you have four people at a table, but you can't have 5 people at a table? Why were the masks? So you didn't need them 3 months ago. Now you need them. A lot of questions that I don't have any answers to. But some of these kids deserve answers. These kids playing college football. need to know why they pulled the plug on them. What are the reasons why? And if the reasons are, legit enough, then okay. But give them the reasons. Give them these guys that are poured their heart and soul into their whole careers. This may be their last chance to ever play, their senior year to play football. This may be the last chance for them to showcase themselves and use sports as an opportunity to make a living, And I know that, that we all understand that college players, it's every college player that's at the D1 level is probably getting $150,000 to $200,000 gift of their education. They should take advantage of that, and now they're also getting perks and money for an industry that is, the college football, NCAA football is making money hand over fist. So why not share a little bit? Why not share a little bit of that wealth to the kids?
Look, we need to pay those kids. I mean, you see what they're doing week in and week out. You obviously know from personal experience, but it's a big question because, Mark, the other question is, if we don't go forward with all of the conferences, of course, we know 4 FBS conferences, the Big Ten, the Pac-12, the Mountain West, and Mid-American have all decided to postpone until the fall. But if we have the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12, I mean, can we still rightfully crown a college champion this year, Mark? Will it be the same?
Well, with an asterisk, of course, but
they got to put the asterisk.
I think you can. I mean, here's what do you say? Are you going to not give Super Bowls to teams that played in a strike shortened season? Of course, you're going to give Super Bowls to those teams. They went out there and they did the hard work, and you look at those conferences, and pretty much predominantly those conferences are the strength of college football anyway. And a national championship is going to come out of the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12. So let's face it, they're the strength, and the second ones are the second tier is unfortunately the Pac-12 and the Big 10. Except for Ohio State. And Ohio State maybe wants to take a year. Maybe they'll go in the ACC for a year, become a member for a year, and then opt out back to their old conference. But I don't have all the answers. There's a lot of great questions, and I just love seeing our men and women out there playing sports, and at all levels. And I think if the football is going to play, the volleyball should play. I mean, it's got to be equal. It's got to be make sure that we're taking care of our ladies too, as much as we are our guys and our students. And we got to make sure we're taking care of our students on campus, because they're the ones that are there to watch and cheer and yell and scream and make our Saturdays and such, or when the girls are playing volleyball Thursdays and Tuesdays, make it fun and enjoyable. That's what sports is. It's bringing people together, and especially in difficult times. And why not? This is the most difficult time I will ever go through in my life, as far as a person, just individually myself, not being able to do what I want to do, be told what I have to do, and I get there's reasons why, and I understand some of them, but it's still difficult for all of us.
I know. And this difficulty it's been hard, right? I mean, this, like you said, it's the first time many of us have went through anything like this. And my heart goes out, especially to the kids, trying to keep them inside. Like, it's just so many questions. But I'm curious, Mark, since we're talking about how much we love sports, how glad that we're back. What were you doing when we had no sports, Mark? Were you like the rest of us watching The Last Dance? Or what were you, how did you keep busy?
I just got up and played golf. I just, when the golf courses were open, the other thing is, we started out in Washington State, which is a very, very liberal state, and our governor has really shut down a lot of things, so it was started out with just, you could play as a twosomes, and you had to play in different golf carts, or you had to walk, you couldn't play in the same cart, but unless you're family, then finally it changed to a family you can go in the cart together, or you can have 4 in your family, and then it changed. Okay, now you can have 4. So there's a lot of adaptation, and I think all of us want to give us some stringent rules that we follow by. If we follow by it, let's open everything up. I mean, South Dakota, which doesn't have a lot of people, but South Dakota is, their whole infrastructure stayed open the whole time. All the restaurants and shops and everything like that, and they didn't have the amount of people that New York would have, or California would have, and but they stayed open. They did it in the proper way. They maintained social distance. They wore their masks, and the governor said, if you do that, absolutely, you should be able to do what you want and go out and if you're compromised in some way, if you got difficulties and a lot of these players, I see why they'd opt out if they're they have respiratory issues and things of
Of
that
course,
nature.
for
Because
safety, yeah.
if they catch it, I mean, it could really be bad.
Yeah.
And I lost a close friend of mine in
So
Washington D.C.
sorry.
area. Yeah, the Prince George County Sheriff Jerry Manley, retired Prince George County Sheriff Jerry Manley,
Wow.
and his wife Val, and I'm just, it's heartbreaking to hear stories of that nature. And and so all of us, even myself, I'm a little older, a little heavier, and
Right.
I'm not I'm not immune to this at all. And
Right.
so I got to be careful, because I'm one of the, probably, I wouldn't say highest risk, but I'm a risk, more of a
Right.
risk than a healthy young 10-year-old and a healthy young 30-year-old.
Right.
I'm a risk. So.
Right, you have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And Mark, we're starting to get questions in from the fans, so we might as well talk when you played football, because that's why everyone loves you, Mark. Here, we have a quick question from Antoine Smith. He wants to know: are the 91? We can't say that word anymore, Antoine. Is the 91 Washington football team the best team ever?
Well, Sports Illustrated came out with the rankings, and they did rank that based on all the criteria.
Yeah.
For margin of victory, record, schedule, everything else, they had us ranked number one. So it's arguably one of the best teams that ever played. I think all three of our Super Bowl winning teams were great, and even the one I think that maybe the best Redskin team that didn't win a Super Bowl was the year after they won, where they set all sorts of records for plus minus, and lost to the Oakland Raiders, down in Tampa, but. Or LA Raiders or Seattle Raiders. I don't know what they were at the time, but they were the Raiders.
Right, they were the Raiders.
But so the 83 team, the 87 team that I was on, and the 92 team are all special teams. Special group of guys, and I look back on those pictures of the individuals, and I think so much. I think so much of Doug, because he was a mentor to me, and even Joe T. He was very good at. Me being a young quarterback, and saying, hey, unfortunately you get judged by the Redskins by winning Super Bowls, not just getting to the playoffs and doing well. At that point in time, the 80s and 90s is about winning Super Bowls, but that 91, 92 team was a great team, and I just so fortunate enough to play those guys and do it in the fashion that we did, and kind of blitz through the regular season, kind of shut it down against the Eagles in our last game of the year when we were up at halftime.
Always nice.
And then kind of take out Jerry Glanville and the Falcons at home.
Yes.
And who was that? MC Hammer was there, I think. And former
better atmosphere.
Evander Holyfield was there, so showing their support. Good for them. I think that's one great thing about sports is we as individuals, whoever we are, we can show our support for our team. And I know they're there on the sidelines, and it kind of motivated maybe a few of our guys to play better, and then to go in and bust up the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, beat them handily at home, 42-10, and then to go in the Super Bowl and just kind of waltz through it the way we did. It's just amazing group of guys. It's just amazing coaching staff, amazing organization. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I can tell. Look, we're craving that. We want another Super Bowl here in DC, Mark. Do you think we're going to get it anytime soon? Can we get it soon?
I will tell you this: Ron Rivera and his staff and the organization is going to do everything possible, and I think he is a no BS guy.
Yes,
and he's going to make sure that guys aren't going to waltz around cutting corners and. Missing meetings, coming late to meetings, missing their treatments. Right. This is a guy that's played the game at a high level, coached the game at a high level, and wants his best out of his players. And why wouldn't any coach want that? I think they all do. It's just, can we get the best out of our players? And can our players buy into the fact that, hey, we were not on paper the greatest team, 91, 92. We had some great athletes, Hall of Famers, Darryl Green, Art Monk, Russ Graham, but Buffalo was the powerhouse. They'd been there the year before, and so. But it's not one on paper; it's one with your heart and putting in the work. And you look at these guys, and I've seen video of these guys putting in the work. The receivers to the timing, receivers and quarterback. You don't need pads to do that. You just need timing, getting the snap and throwing the ball out in time, and receivers running routes and making sure their depth of the route is what is supposed to be, and not cutting it short. And that's where you win championships. You don't win it. I mean, obviously you got to play on Sunday, but you win it. You win it during the off season. You win it throughout your career, and you just have guys that are just so great pros and that push everyone to be better.
Yeah, that work that you put in, and you talked about some of the people you played with. Wow, what a team you all had that season. Just something special. And we have another question from a fan, Mark. He wants to know from Mike Durton, is your daughter still playing quarterback for the Seattle Miss women's football team? Sports family.
The lingerie football league, yes. No, fortunately, she's got two beautiful children that are my grandchildren. Malaya now, who's 11 years old, who was around when she first started, when her mom first started playing, and Makai, who's 2 years old right now. And so, nope, she's had a shoulder surgery on her right arm, and so
she's okay.
Yeah, she's okay, but it's just fruits of the labor, I mean, not fruits of labor, the pains of the labor of playing at that level. And people don't understand that these ladies are playing a game that was fast and physical, and they're great athletes and role models in their own respect for health and fitness, and playing high. And the only thing I didn't like is some of the things that they encourage pushing and shoving and maybe throwing. It's like hockey, because they had hockey helmets on. They had these small little shoulder pads. They had like lingerie underwear on. It was kind of degrading to the women. And I love the fact that these women wanted to play and deserved to play. I just wasn't so keen on the uniform. But they're saying they're trying to sell tickets, but I think if you got girls that are in, gear that's at least going to keep them safe, and they're going to move it the way they're moving, and the beauty of the way they're moving. I love watching her play, but they encourage clotheslining, and there's one picture I wish I could bring up on the screen about Anza getting high load in a game, and it was pretty brutal, and the games are real physical. So she's dealing with some of the pains of her playing days, and she even had a couple concussions herself, which we all know is the protocol now that is very, very serious, and doctors and trainers and players and coaches are all aware of that aspect of this great game we play.
Yeah, and I'm glad you touched on that, because I know we're trying to make the game safer, Mark, and I know it's changed, obviously, since you've played. You've talked on this issue, but do you think we're moving in the right direction to make football safer? Because we see at the youth level, we see less players, less parents putting their kids into football because, quite frankly, Mark, they're scared. They're very scared. They hear the concussion issue. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a component that thinks that kids don't need to play tackle football till they're 14, 15 years old. I mean, if you got Johnny that's 62 pounds and Kenny that's their 8-year-old, and Kenny that's 120 pounds, and Kenny's going to run into Johnny. I mean, it's physics right there, and physics doesn't go well for Johnny, so I think that there's more that needs to be done at the youth level. I think they're doing a much better job in high school level, college level, and the pro level at eliminating contact during practice, and still being able to get the amount of reps that you need, and the timing and of the game itself. I'm sure that there's as we have seen, that the tackling has become an issue for several reasons. There's you don't practice tackling drills as much, so it shows when you watch games. There's you don't have this same type, and then of course protecting guys, defenseless players is a big concern for the NFL. But what I see happening because of this is players going over the middle to catch passes, and defensive backs knowing that they can't come helmet to helmet for several reasons, for the injury part of it, for both. And also I think for, to be fined and be thrown out of the game when you're an important, essential part of your defense is that you're going to have guys now start, shooting for lower leg extremities. And so you're going to see a possibility of, more your injuries on the lower extremities because of the way defensive backs have to tackle now, especially when the ball is thrown in the middle of the field.
Yeah, and that's so great, because you touched on Alex Smith earlier. Remember that just gruesome injury that happened to him. And of course, no one wants that ever to happen. So again, to see him out there, even with the brace, I think we're all like, just wow, like comeback story, I guess, of the year. I mean, Joe Theismann had already said Alex Smith has won the NFL's 2020 Comeback Player of the Year. I don't know how you go against that. But, while we're talking about quarterbacks, Mark, quarterback market's pretty hot right now. There's a guy over in Kansas City you probably heard of course, by Patrick Mahomes, who's just setting records left and right. And then we see the huge contract that he signed. I mean, when you think about the quarterbacks in the NFL, are you just pleased with the way that the position has progressed over time?
Oh, pleased. I mean, this is taking the position to a new level. Whether it be him, the old Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson. The young quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson, Jackson up in Baltimore. I mean, these are serious athletes that can throw the ball, run to the ball, do all sorts of things, and create space and because of their mobility, turn a play that normally is a loss into a big play and throw well on the run. I love watching Patrick Mahomes play. He's like a magician, I mean, he throws things sidearm under. He can throw it behind his back and probably complete a pass.
What can he do?
Right now, last year, the sky's the limit. I mean, they were down in some games, 35-14. They came back and won like 56-42. It's just pretty amazing to watch them play. And the league. I think the league in general is in great place because it's great skill players, great defensive players. That big name defensive players that make impacts. The game is technically now pretty much an offensive game based on the rules, and Gary Clark, Ricky Sanders, and Art Monk had the rules that they have today. Doing what we did, I mean, holy smokes! It'd be off the charts because because you can't grab a guy, you can't at the line of scrimmage anymore. You got to be able to just kind of put a hand on them, and it's just a different game. And but it's fun to watch. They're making it fun for the fan. They're making it fun for the for everyone. And the ball's in the air too, which is they're throwing it a lot more. Which is they're throwing the ball to set up the run at times. Because a lot of teams are now becoming very, very soft when it comes to defending the pass. You're able to run the ball. Before it was like, we're going to run the ball and we want you guys to come up there and then we're going to go over the top like we did and play action and make big plays. And now it's vice versa. They're making big plays in the running game because they're basically don't want to get beat in the passing game, with as much as teams throw now.
Yeah, exactly. That throwing the ball thing is huge. And now quarterbacks are able to do it all. You have a sad fan because you beat his Bills in the Super Bowl, Mark, but it's okay. We still support you in DC. But I mean, it's just a fun time, I think, to have the quarterbacks in the league because we're all like, what can they not do? I know a lot of us are looking forward to that Week 3 matchup when it's Patrick Mahomes going against Lamar Jackson, just two of the young studs in the league. I mean, that game is probably going to be one that we all just circle off. And I'm just curious, though, Mark, the fans, we kind of touched on it, but I mean, you were obviously used to playing with fans. You know how passionate our fans are here.
The greatest
I know.
fans.
I mean, what do you think about that? Will it make a difference at all? We know, as you said, some stadiums will not have fans. Some will have very limited fans. As a player and at the professional level, does that affect you at all, do you think? Would it have affected you when you played?
Watching the NBA is like watching that summer league, where they play in Vegas, where they're just kind of out there. It's really eerie, watching hockey's the same way. And baseball is the same way. Baseball's kind of slow anyway, because I love baseball. But I mean, you could literally pick dandelions out there when I played and clovers, and that's just how slow baseball is. But baseball's a great sport. Don't get me wrong. But all those sports, without fans, it's weird. It's just an eerie feeling, when are they going to get back to yell and scream and do the crazy things? And it doesn't look like anytime soon from what
unfortunately.
What I'm gathering.
No tailgates and things. I mean, it's just different. And Mark, I mean, I have to say, I've truly just enjoyed this conversation with you. And just before I let you go,
back to David. David asked a question on this Bills, and I says, first of all, I just want to tell. Is it David? Is that right?
Yep, David. Yep.
Yeah,
he's sad about his Bills losing. He's sad about how you played him.
That's four Yeah, but that's 4 amazing years, maybe, one of the greatest runs in professional football. And all those guys, Darren Talley, Bruce Smith, Andre Reed, Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, all those guys were just amazing football players, and for a long period of time. And that longevity and consistency is just you don't see that much in the game today. But you might see it now. Patrick Mahomes stays healthy. Gosh knows how many Lombardi trophies he'll be hoisting. Maybe not
He's
as
on the
many
way
as Tom
to
Brady.
chase Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
It's just crazy. So if you had to, I'm going to put you on the spot, Mark. If you had to rank the top 5 quarterbacks in the league today, what would your list be?
Oh, geez. I would have to say, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, their ability just to extend plays, and their athleticism is incredible. Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz. I like the younger guys. I think you're going to see these younger players. Then you throw in the older guys just because they've done it for a long period of time. And when is Father Time going to run out on them, right?
I know, it's scary.
Drew Brees. I mean, gosh, he still plays
still
at an
going.
amazing level. Tom Brady didn't have his greatest year last year, but he's still very capable of putting up big numbers. And he's got some big time wide receivers and Gronk down there in Tampa now. So
it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. It's
and Aaron Rodgers has a quarterback battle.
Oh,
most likely.
Aaron Rodgers too. But I love Aaron Rodgers as a player. He's much like Patrick. He's not as mobile as Patrick, but his ability to throw on the run and escape and just do things that you kind of shake your head. And he's one of my favorite guys too. I love Aaron. You definitely. Thank you for mentioning that. I'll probably get heck from him next time I see him. But he definitely deserves to be in that in the mix. But there's 10 of the guys. You interact each and every one of them. But Patrick Mahomes last year was on a planet of his own. Different level. Yeah,
we went back to that Super Bowl. I mean, just incredible what they've done. And Mark, just before I let you go, and I appreciate your time. I mean, there's been a lot going on, but I know something that you retweeted that I thought was just so special. And I thought a great way to end. Retweeted Tim Rypien. He said, as a parent, teacher, citizen living in a diverse world where racism is all around us, we can do 3 things. Acknowledge that racism exists, listen to people that have been affected by racism, and act in a way that makes you a part of the solution. Why was this so special for you to retweet and share with your followers?
Well, it's because that's what we need to do. We need to put any indifferences we have aside, any biases we have aside, because that's what it looks to me that's what our country's trying to do, is divide us in a way that we don't need to be. Each and every one of us, and I think my brother put it the best, individually, have an obligation to our communities, obligation to our country, obligation to this world.
Right.
And we're not going to be here forever. And so I think that's why it resonated with me so much.
Yeah.
We do have a lot more to do, obviously. I think as a whole, our country needs to heal from some of the injustices that are happening, and that are going on, and also our country needs to understand that the peaceful walks and the peaceful protests that people have and the people are doing is the most important way for you to show your support for social injustice and things that are happening to our men and women in this country. The ones that are not doing the peaceful protesting, that are taking away the voice and the message from those that are, is a crying shame. I would hope everyone gets a chance to listen to Representative John DeBerry from Tennessee, his speech on in the House of Representatives about August 12th.
Yeah.
And he talks about Dr. King and the Million Man March, where he walked next to Dr. King. His dad walked next to Dr. King. In fact, just a quick side story: George Raveling was the head of Nike and a basketball coach at Washington State University, and played basketball at Villanova. Was at the podium when Dr. King gave that speech as security, and that man was in his view of bringing together a country and seeing the country torn apart because of it in the riot. Dr. King very said the same thing. That's not what the message we want. We don't want riots and looting to take away from the message of those that really need to be heard. And I think it's just imperative that we understand that we head in that, each and every one has had an obligation, and we head in that direction, and we heal this country, because it's pretty tragic what's happened to many men and women that have been, taken. It's just impactful. Our voice can be heard in a way that helps instead of hurts.
So powerful, Mark, just so powerful. And I appreciate you talking on that. And it means so much. I think that's why me and you are able to be here together doing an interview, two very different people from two very different backgrounds, but we're talking sports, we're having fun. And like you said, we can move forward together. I think it's so important and so imperative. Mark, I hope you're not a stranger to the show. Before I let you go, just any last words for the listening audience?
No, and I think, when it comes down to it, I think sports, we all understand that we need sports in our lives, And thank you for bringing your message of sports in our Washington, D.C. area, and the incredible run that the Caps, the Nationals, the Mystic had.
District of champions, Mark.
How about that? The trifecta, we need to get our Wizards going, but
yes. Wish them luck in the lottery tonight, you guys.
I will. So, all respect, I think it was great last 3 years on DC. Thank you for bringing that to everyone, and bringing the message of on social justice too. Is like my brother said, and we all watched in horror when Mr. Floyd was knelt upon on national TV. No man, woman, or child needs to be treated in that way, and we all can learn from that and understand that our voice and our message to help others really, really counts, and that includes our law enforcement too, because there's so many good ones out there, and they need help. The ones that do need help or that aren't right for the job, we need to make sure that they get in a position where they can do something else. That it's going to make sure that our citizens are safe and our country's safe.
Correct. Oh, powerful messages, Mark. Again, I appreciate your time so much. Please enjoy the area. I wish it wasn't COVID so we did this in person, but enjoy DC, enjoy Baltimore. Thank you so much for your
anytime. Once this COVID lifts and COVID-19's over with, and we got a chance I'd love to come down to your studio and do this again and talk about our team, our Washington football team.
Our team winning. That's what they're going to do this season, Mark.
Hoisting another Lombardi trophy.
Yes, we need it, Mark. We need it. We miss it. The last one was before I was born, Mark. So I want that feeling of what the city's going to be like. I want to experience, right? It's only fair, but I appreciate your time so much,
Thanks.
Mark.
That makes me feel old, Kelsey.
I'm sorry, Mark. You're young.
No, you're being on. Hey, you're being on. You're being on this.
But it's going to happen in my lifetime. It's going to happen in my lifetime.
It has been that long, coming up to 30 years. Yeah, pretty soon. Yeah.
And look at the guys in Baltimore. They've been doing it. So can we spread it down to DC?
Absolutely. Please, let's do.
We need it. Mark, thanks again so much. Have a great one. Stay safe.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to the special edition of Listen In With KNN. You just heard from Mark Rypien. Oh my gosh, just an incredible human being. Of course, we know last quarterback to bring us that Lombardi Trophy here in DC. We'll be back Saturday at 2 p.m. with Todd Shrike, the CEO of Game Changers Corp. Be sure to tune in. Next week, we'll have also some very special guests, and we'll be doing some special things for the NBA playoffs. So stay tuned with me. Follow me on social media at The Real K Nelson. And of course, check out the audio version of the show that comes out on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. And until then, of course, enjoy the sports world, smile, and please don't take your fantasy sports too seriously, because there's always another play. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Follow Kelsey on social media at The Real K Nelson. Catch episodes of Listen In with KNN on YouTube, on air at AM 1340 and 96.9 FM Fox Sports Radio, on Facebook and Twitter, and online at KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Thank you for watching this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN.